All right. Oh, shit. All right. I'm going to just let Austin do his thing. All right. What's up, guys? As per your request, I'm going to give you the floor to introduce yourselves before anything.
I'm Mike.
That's Mystic Mike.
I am Mystic Mike.
My name is 12 Spot.
10V.
I'm Rat, a.k.a. Spence.
I'm Jan Lanon. That's Jan with a J.
I'm Ali Kim.
I'm NJ.
I'm going to remember none of those, except for Jan Lanon. That's the first one that...
Call us by our government names. That's cool, too.
No, fuck the government. I'm not fucking down for that shit.
No fucking govies.
I'll remember 12 Spot. I have to. Okay.
Yeah.
Just to start off, you guys want to explain your origin story as a band? How did Mushroom Valley come to be?
How many years you want to go back?
As many years as you want to go back.
Taking back to the origins or what?
Yeah, I suppose. So Austin and I have been friends for quite some time, and we always wanted to start a band together, but just couldn't decide on what kind of music we wanted to play. So, we went through a lot of project changes, and, we were in different bands at the time, and we're jamming all sorts of stuff, but just couldn't get into one specific style. Then we met up again years later, fast forward to maybe like 2022-ish?
Yeah.
And
February.
we couldn't decide on a band name, but we went back to our roots and we're like, Mushroom Valley. Kind of cheesy, kind of sick, kind of mystic. And we wanted to do some rock shit. Yeah.
So, Mushroom Valley was on the table, but we met up with a couple homies. Matt Mahar from Pindles, Strange Shakes. Shout out Matty Me. Holy fuck. And we also met up with Eric Lutz and Ryan Scott of 1,000 Times Goodnight. And we started Slow Heaven. Or no, it was Heaven's Gate first. And then we realized that there was another shoegaze band out of New York that did the whole get up. You know what I mean? Like the cloaks and the Nikes and shit. And we were like, well, we can't do that anymore. So we went to Slow Heaven. And then we kind of just slowly fell apart. But Alex and I kept writing. And then we went back to Mushroom Valley again. And then we met up with Rat. And then, a couple others filled in, Devin and Isaac from Chubb. And then we found 12E and Mikey. And then Bennett joined. Nat was there the whole time too. And that's who you see before you now.
Did it kind of always sound similar to what you guys sound like now?
I personally don't think so. If you're talking about like ever since we started playing shows, like in March, we've definitely changed sonically. I'm sure we all have our different opinions, but we had, like I said, we had Devin and Isaac from Chubb, and I feel like the songs were a lot more punky driving because you have that punk rhythm section, right? Which was sick in and of itself. But now that we have Mikey and 12E who are a lot more psych oriented, I think that really drives it home on top of just us developing as musicians.
Yeah. Obviously we needed more people in our band. It couldn't have been just like Austin and I after the other members fizzled out. Shout out to them. Like, they're cool. They just wanted to do other projects at that time, or they just didn't have enough time to commit. But yeah, we found these wonderful people. We just found them on the street, really. We kind of just like picked out, we found 12 Spot just like jamming with some chopsticks on some like tin cans. They were like, yo, we really understand your vibe. Do you want to like join our band? And he's like, yeah.
And not only did we ask him to join our band, we said, hey, we have an extra room here. Why don't you just move in? And so now all 7 of us, we're all living here together, and we're a family, and I think it's going pretty well.
Yeah.
So it's just a creative hub.
So
Rent's cheap.
So do you guys just have like attachment issues because Devin and Isaac left? Is this just like your safety net?
I think that this is like the lineup that makes the most sense, and it's going to work out really well for all of us. I think we finally hit our stride with everyone that we have. Yeah.
That's dope. So sonically, what are you guys going for? Like, what do you want to achieve? And did you always kind of envision having like I guess for this style of music, like this is a pretty large ensemble. Did you always envision having that many layers to your music?
Oh, fuck yeah. We're not done. This is like the core. This is, yeah, it's half the band. This is the core lineup for sure, but like, I don't think we'll ever be finished like adding on to it in a sonic sense. That's my opinion, but I think this is like a 7-person answer because we all have our own influences. So I'm going to pass it to NJ, and I guess we can go down the line if that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, going off of that, you look at Broken Social Scene, that's a huge influence on our sound, and when it comes to members and more layers, more is more, and I think it's really beneficial to our sound. Bringing in, introducing more instruments and other talents, it's something quite special, I feel.
And also just like, why not? There's so many cool instruments out there. We're all really into, different weird sounds that, some people may not be experimenting with. We just want to have like this platform kind of like open up for a lot of flexibility. Just like, oh, okay, like this part in a song like really needs like this thing. Let's do it. And like it's like sick because like we're all multi-instrumentalists, and at the end of the day we're just like feeding into like the idea of Mushroom Valley being like an open ensemble with like we can open so many doors, and we like to go in and out of different layers all the time.
I'm going to pass it to Spence, but if you're sick at what you do, send us a video at Mushroom Valley Psych on Instagram. And we met Mikey the first night. He was already in before we met him. That's how easy we are. Send your clips. What inspires you, Spence?
I came from like a punk rock background, doing like, thrash on the side, but really wanted to explore psychedelic and like just that whole kind of genre. So this is like a great avenue. And the previous, experience kind of opens up some new stuff for what we can write, Yeah, it's
Yeah, so I just joined the band, but I saw these guys performing a couple times. They asked me to play bass. I said no. Saw them a couple more times, and I couldn't say no the second time. So playing keys now, it's really a good time. So yeah, I'm just here for the fun of it. But yeah.
So Bennett and I have been brothers for a very long time. So at least since I was when I was first born. And Mike and I have been friends for a very long time as well. And we've been trying to... Bennett and I have played in projects before in the past, so we're like in the pocket when it comes to playing together. And then Mike and I have been talking about playing in a band for a long time. So when we needed a bass player, I thought of Mike right away. And he was like ready to commit immediately. And he wasn't even in the band. He was roadieing for the first few shows, just like making t-shirts and stuff, hand tie-dyed. So yeah, but it's just been really easy to like click and like fit in with each other. I think like everyone's so easygoing, and everyone has such like a broad like range of styles that they're into, that I think it works really well. And no one overplays their part, which is really nice. We all listen to each other. No one overplays. Kind cuts anyone off, so that's really nice most of the time. Yeah. What was the question? Sorry, I think I'm off topic.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, sonically, what you guys wanted to achieve with, you know, your instrumentation and, I don't know, mix-wise and everything.
Oh, well, yeah, we're really off topic. Well, I don't know about that, but we're working on an album, I think, for, I don't know how long until we've recorded, but we were throwing around some ideas for recording methods, and we've been thinking about some really weird manual ways of recording stuff that I think we're really excited about, and some really weird tones, and I don't know. I think a few of us know how to mix stuff, and we all know how to, like, you know, screw around, so I think it'll be cool. Yeah.
I'm just here to have a good time, and I'm having a good time. Thank you, guys. It's been a blast.
I think individually, you know, whatever your individual aspirations are playing with the group, that's all going to play into the group vision anyways, you know? So, like, yeah, everything you guys said is totally valid. But that being said, like, how do you go about your creative process collaboratively? Like, does your songwriting or composition start with any particular method?
Usually Austin sends like a whole ton of voice memos on Instagram, and then we just listen to all of them and see what's up. But I don't know.
Mushrooms first and foremost. Fun fact about MV: our first two singles, CellaRDwellaR and Breakfast at Cosmos, were both recorded in one night, very high on mushrooms. So, yeah, normally, you know, any one of us kind of just sends something, and once we all get together, we just jam it out. Tweaks here and there, structures, you know what I mean? We try and be as collaborative as possible. I think that's what really to the core is what is important to us, is that every single person has their own say, their own input. And it's almost always okayed. Like, if there's anything, it's always like, yeah, try this one way, or you know what I mean? And like, it always ends up working out in the finish. Like, because there's so many people, we can write songs really fucking fast though, which is so sick. That's like the kind of like the best part, is that it's constantly creating over and over and over and over again. Like, that's the best part.
Basically a hive mind.
A hive mind, yeah. I think too, because everyone in this room are like independent musicians as well. You know, they'll just be at home writing something, send it to the group chat, like, hey, I have this idea, or I wrote this riff, or like for me, like, oh, I wrote this song, like lyrically, and when we get together for band practice, we just explore that. And part of that creative process is trying it one way, but it's very, most of the time, not permanent. It always evolves. And I think it gets better as it evolves too. And that's, I think, important with all of us too, where when it comes to attachment, you asked us if we have attachment issues. We don't. We're pretty open, and we're just exploring. And I think with our genre of music of like psych rock, shoegaze, there's a lot of space for that exploration as well.
I guarantee you, if somebody brings a riff to the forefront, the end product will be completely different from the very beginning. And that's why it's so cool that we have so many genius minds in this band, is because everybody has something to contribute to. You know, 12E has some great beats, you know. Mikey will introduce like a bass line that I wouldn't even like think of, and you know, vice versa for everybody else in the band. Like, we'll put something to the plate, and then it ends up being this like weird fucking abstract thing by the end of it. And yeah, it's like it's a hugely collaborative process, and we're not just inspired by like, you know, music per se. Like, we all have like, you know, our disciplinary mediums of art that we all invest our lives into as well. So, you know, it could be a song idea, could even like bloom from like a lyric. Somebody will write something in the group chat, or, you know, we'll hang out and like someone will say something and we'll be like, whoa, like let's like write something about that, So we're all inspired by lots of shit, not necessarily just music. Like, could be any sort of medium, and like we can basically manifest it into our band.
Another thing that we try to do to help our creative process is really make an effort to spend time with one another, because not only are we bandmates, but we're also friends, we're homies, and aw, making time to hang out outside of band practice and spend time, listen to music, play games, like do activities. I think everyone here agrees that chemistry is super important, especially when you're working together on a project as big as this. So that also helps. Just spending time, having a good time.
Family vibes.
Yeah.
Literally.
Aww.
Yeah, that being said, like with the whole collaborative nature of things, what does it mean to you to be part of like different projects, to almost have like this overlapping network of bands and projects that you guys are part of, and it's like kind of all part of the same circle, but a lot of it doesn't necessarily sound the same. But I don't know, I feel like getting to know this kind of like scene, everybody's kind of proud of each other, and I like seeing that. Yeah. But like, yeah, what does that mean to you guys? And do you ever feel like there's any priority between like one project or another, or is it all just like an individual thing?
I'm not in a side project.
Right. Sorry.
No. Mikey is 12 years. Spence is. Bennett is. Everybody's in another band. I'm not. This will get released at some point. I'm affiliated with the Chubb Boys. But yeah, there's definitely a priority, at least for me. Like MV takes precedent, and I've always been very crystal clear with that. But when it comes to like the scene itself, I think what it comes down to is that we were all like kids in like 2015, 2016, and we were watching, like the older people, like Tyler Dupuis, Justin Glatt, like the guys in Heavy Hearts. If you don't know, check them out. Camper, you know what I mean? All these different bands and stuff. And we watched them. We kind of idolized them. And then when it came down to it, we went through and took a couple years to become adults. And now I think that's why you're seeing such a huge flux. So like, yeah, we're definitely all proud of each other because we needed to take that break to become mature enough to organize something that this, like at this capacity. Like St. Catharines hasn't really seen a boom like this in music and in creating in a very long time. So I think all of us hold it very close to our hearts. You know what I mean? I think that's everybody in this room. I'm getting choked up over here. No. But yeah, definitely proud of it for sure. And as you guys should be as well, Oh, we got peeps. We got hands up.
We got doses.
Yeah, we got doses. No, I will say, so Mushroom Valley is the first band I've ever been in, and what's it been, like 3 months? Like I played one show, but I'm seeing like the camaraderie between all the other bands, and we're all kind of connected in some way. You guys have a big part in that. Like Routine Exploits is huge for the whole scene, but it's been quite wild to see like how connected everyone really is. But yeah, it's just one big collective, the Niagara, St. Catharines, especially scene. It's been quite fun to just see everyone supporting each other. Like someone posts a promotional poster or something on Instagram, share that shit immediately, and everyone does the same thing. So it's super friendly and welcoming. Someone who's like new to the scene, it's awesome, fantastic.
Do you guys feel like there's like a resurgent like counterculture that's kind of developing here post-COVID? Like, I know for me, I feel like a lot of the things that I was part of, or a lot of the communities that I was like following, kind of fell off a little bit when the pandemic happened, like partly because things just couldn't happen, partly because a lot of people need to just pivot in their lives. And now that we're kind of out of it, I feel like new things are popping up and there's new people who kind of have that fire in them to like do things. So like, you guys feel that way? And do you feel like you're like part of that?
I definitely see, like, before there were a lot of barriers between genres. Like, you'd have like hardcore shows, you'd have, you know, experimental, whatever shows going on. And nowadays, not nowadays, but recently, the shows that we've been going to and putting on and playing at, it's like random styles. Like, there'll be like a hardcore act with an ambient act, and it's like everyone's friends. And I think it's more about how things come across visually and culturally. And everyone really like fits into that sort of like niche, and it's really cool because it's not confined to like genres or styles. I think
cross-pollination, right? Cross-pollination. I'm not sure when this will be released, but from now, it's this coming Saturday, but it's just a clusterfuck of so many different genres and artists and people who are hungry and just want to get out there and do something. And I think that's amazing. So with what you're saying, I do think now pandemic's over, quote unquote. I think, yeah, everyone's just feeling a little bit more aggressive and wanting to put more out there. I know I am. I don't want to speak for everyone here, but it definitely seems that post-pandemic, everyone's just like stoked to do stuff and build this community up as to what it's becoming today.
I know me personally, like, I know so many people who were active and were doing a lot of creative shit and then kind of fell off because of the pandemic. And like, I feel almost this personal responsibility to try to create this space for people to feel like they can still do it, you know, to try to remember what it is that they really liked about it before, that it's, you know, it hasn't changed. They just have to kind of find their new medium for expression or whatever.
I think I would agree with that in a sense. Like, I like that doing all of this stuff. I hope it inspires, you know, a lot of other people to pursue like doing something musically, like starting your own band or something. You know, the more that happens, I think the better it is to, you know, kind of show that like, hey, people like this and we want to continue to do it.
I think too, like we were saying, and like you mentioned, Matt, how the music scene now, it's non-competitive and it's a community and very closely related to one another. I lost my train of thought. Maybe it will come back to me.
I do want to mention that yes and no, because there was a fair share of stuff that I was really into during the pandemic, and you know, shout out to hardworking musicians fucking taking the opportunity to isolate themselves quite literally and just like go ham and like, yo, like this is my time to go in. Like, I was talking to this artist from like San Fran, and I was just like asking him like what his life is like right now. He's like, yeah, I'm just like getting paid by the government and I make paintings every single day. Like, this is fucking sick. And I'm like, man, this is so truly inspiring to me. And I think it really depends on like work ethic. Because there was a spike in like new artists and creatives post pandemic. I think this was probably a good opportunity for people to like sort of like shift the paradigm, you know, just kind of, you know, just kind of like let the, you know, all their ideas kind of process from the last 3 years, let that dwell and, you know, let's make something cool out of it. Let's go to town and, you know, let's put shit out. Because a lot of people are hungry. A lot of people have a lot of expression and material that they want to put out, and right now is like probably the best timing. I think it was like super necessary for this to happen, for a lot of artists, kind of sort of like a rebirth, or, you know, a reality check, resurgence. We're saying all your keywords. Are you happy?
Yeah, that's a good point though. Like, you gotta give credit where credit's due for everybody who just, kept on going or found opportunities during the pandemic. Like, yeah, that was some real shit for sure.
I remembered my thought, and just to finish that up, I think now that like the community and the music scene is back up and blooming and flourishing, a lot of people who are coming out and supporting are feeling very inspired. And like one of my beautiful best friends, like she's gonna start doing a show there with a rat over there. And I don't know, I think because I think it shows when we perform. It's just fun, and it's about expressing your creativity, and everyone has it. And I think that's a really positive outcome from this rebirth. Thanks.
Yeah. Last question, and if after that, if anybody wants to get a word on anything, floor is yours. But just what does it mean to you to be part of like the Niagara region? Like, if there's any points of personal pride being from St. Catharines or this area in general, what does it mean to you? And like, what does it mean to be part of where we're at now and going forward?
I think Niagara's got a lot of history behind it, and there's a lot of stuff that was popular that got really, big, and there's a lot of acts that also like went right into the shadows. And you mentioned something to someone, they're like, yeah, I never heard of that. But it's kind of cool, like showing people who might be like out of town moving down here for the first time, like showing them like Niagara history within like the creative scene, music scene specifically, I guess is what I'm talking about. But Niagara's a very special place. I love Niagara. It's a beautiful, beautiful region. I'm very lucky to be down here because something about like, yes, it's huge, but it still harvests that like small town vibe that really like stirs the pot of creativity. Now due to gentrification, there's a lot of stuff to do now, but like back in the day there was like fucking nothing to do. So you kind of take that. For me personally, like, it inspires me. I take the dark shit and like try to express it best as possible, because like life ain't just about sunshines and rainbows. That might be like what our like facade is for like Mushroom Valley, but like in a creative sense, like we want to have the balance. We want to show people the balance of like what life really is. And like kind of tying it back to Niagara, like Niagara can be like the happiest place on earth and could be the darkest place on earth.
Yup. Yeah, true. Yeah. Niagara's, it's unique. I think it's kind of cool that I grew up here. And I kind of hopped around the bigger cities of Niagara, starting in Welland, going to the Falls, and then ultimately moving to St. Catharines semi-permanently. Everything I do is here. But it's a catch-22, right? There's some rough shit that happens here. You know what I mean? Niagara's can be pretty gritty sometimes. I think we've all seen that side. But, as they say, pressure makes diamonds. And I think that's what's going on right now.
Being part of Niagara, I think just like carrying on the torch and keeping those creative juices flowing amongst everyone who's capable, that's a good thing to get behind. So.
Well, Ben and I actually moved out of St. Catharines, so we were living in Virgil for a long time, and out there it kind of was sunshine and rainbows, and I think a lot of our inspiration, I don't know, like comes from like hiking and like walking trails and getting out and seeing stuff, and I think all of us like to do that. But now that we're back in the city, it's nice to like sort of get into other stuff and look for more, urban ways of inspiration. And yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that, Mystic Mikey?
It's too humid. Niagara is way too humid, and my sensitive skin can't handle it. But other than that, it is.
Well, the dry heat's okay, but it's the humidity that'll kill you.
That's exactly what Evan said. It's not the heat, it's the humidity that really gets you. And that's Niagara in a nutshell. But I'm proud to be from here, and I'm happy to live here. My whole family's here, and I love them. I love my mom. And yeah, I don't know. It's good. Life is good. Niagara is good.
Yeah, the humidity. I think it's a genetics thing that you're dealing with, right, Alex? Yeah.
Well, I'm actually part lizard.
I also love my mom and dad.
I thought you said that Niagara is too human. And that is another thing I thought was like pretty interesting. Yeah, like yes, it's too humid, but it's also too human. Which is kind of tying it back to like what I had originally said about Niagara.
I guess shout outs also. All right.
Yeah.
You can play some like game show TV music to this. Shout out Routine Exploits. Shout out Sunshine Express. Shout out Mushroom Valley. Shout out Chubb. Shout out 1,000 Times Good Night. Shout out Iron Moose. Shout out 12 Spot. Shout out Over It. Who else we shouting out? Shout out Days Away. Shout out Shingen. Shout out Logan. Shout out Austin. Shout out This Camera. Shout out Matt. Shout out Liam. Shout out Snoopy. Shout out Fender and Squire. Sponsor us. Ludwig as well, yes.
Peacekeeper,
sponsor us. We really need instruments, and we need them badly as soon as possible. Dan Electro, throw some stuff in there. Bye.